If I was Novak Djokovic, not only would I sue the Australian Open, I'd take my 9 titles and I'd throw them in the trash. Why would I do this? Because what they're doing is embarrassing. What Australia has done is embarrassing. For someone to be the greatest champion, again, 9 Grand Slam titles in Australia, their greatest champion, to be deported, first of all, to be detained, and then to be deported on such stupid grounds just because he wouldn't get a wax job, is, to me, insane. And it's going to really show in Australia. They're already losing it. It's going to get worse and worse. I feel sorry for the people because I love Australians. I have a lot of Australian friends. And even the Australian Open is near and dear to my heart because that was the first tennis tournament I ever watched. I was not a tennis fan until I watched it in 2006 when Roger Federer was dominating the tennis world. I remember watching the final up at like midnight, him and Marcos Bagdatis, and to see what's become of sports nowadays. This is why I don't watch. This is why I can't participate in viewing any of these sports because they've lost their mind. They're politicizing every single thing that goes on. And the real reasoning behind Djokovic not being able to play is even more ridiculous than him not getting a wax job, right? So you can look that up for yourself. All these things are coming out now. But if I was him, I'd do it on video. I'd take those titles and I'd throw them off a cliff. And I'd say, I never won the Australian Open. I don't even know what the Australian Open is. I don't even know where Australia is anymore. It's embarrassing. It's disgusting. And it's really, again, telling to what's going on in that country, how corrupt things are in that country. Doesn't mean that places other than that aren't corrupt as well. As we're seeing, this stuff is happening all over the world. Looks like he might not be able to play at the French Open as well. I do the same thing because at the end of the day, he's going to be remembered as one of the greatest tennis players of all time. He's done that already. He doesn't need to win one more match. But what he's standing up for is freedom of choice and freedom of what he's doing with his body. And this brings me to a big point. Why is Novak so adamant about what he's doing? I was not a Novak Djokovic fan when he was first on the scene. I was a big Roger Federer fan. I didn't like Novak Djokovic because of his attitude and because of his lack of fitness. He wouldn't finish matches. He would retire early. He would complain. Well, what happened to him? He was up against such good competition, Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. He wanted to be one of the best. And he was like, I'm not at my best physically. I can't compete. That's why he was frustrated. And that's what, from the outside looking in, it looked like he was just a little bitch. But he ended up changing his diet. He ended up studying health for himself, taking it into his own hands and saying, I can do something about this. Changed his diet. I think he's got restaurants in his native Serbia. He's done so much for his own health. And then he became the great champion that he is today. Arguably the greatest tennis player of all time. So he's been able to study health and maximize his health. Now he's not being allowed to express that, not being able to say, look, I'm doing what I want with my body. Let me take that risk. He's being punished for that. He's not being able to play the sport that he loves. On top of that, he's not letting the Australians aren't letting him bring tons of revenue in for their country, because I guarantee you there are people who bought tickets who just came to watch Novak Djokovic play. That's the only reason why they were there. They're going to stay in hotels. They were going to spend money. He was definitely going to spend money there. There was going to be ad revenue from people tuning in to watch him, just like so many people want to tune in and watch. He's the only tennis player that I follow right now, right? I won't be following him at the Australian Open this year, but it's again, a ridiculous thing. If I was him, I'd sue. I think he is suing. But on top of that, I'd take my titles and I'd throw them in the trash and I'd say, I don't even know what the Australian Open is anymore. It's embarrassing. They should be ashamed of themselves. And we'll see if more fall in line with that as well. But I'm with you, Novak. Do you, whatever choice that is, that's your choice. I respect everyone's choice. It's your body. But you, the government, anybody shouldn't be allowed to tell me what I should or should not do with my body. Done.